Before the days of cloud storage, thumb drives, and CDs, floppy disks were the best solution for storing data. Unsurprisingly, IBM was at the forefront of this. A team of engineers began developing this early method of data storage in 1967, but it wasn't until 1971 that IBM put the floppy disks on the market. In 1972, when it received patents for the floppy disk and the drive. In 1977, Apple released its first mass-produced computer, the Apple II, which came with 2 floppy disk drives. There's much controversy about who invented email. Ray Tomlinson, a computer programmer at the research and design company Bolt, Beranek & Newman, created text-based messaging between company computers in 1971 by using the @ symbol to route the messages. Meanwhile, Shiva Ayyadurai built an electronic messaging platform in 1978 when he was only 14 years old, basing it off the internal communication system from a New Jersey university, where he was a research fellow. In 1982, Ayyadurai was awarded the copyright for email. Although there is still dispute over who the true inventor of email communication was, there is no doubt it happened in the 1970s. Although it sure didn't look mobile, the first cell phone was invented in 1973 by Motorola. To celebrate, Martin Cooper, a senior engineer at the company, called rival telecommunications company Bell Laboratories to tell them he was speaking through a mobile phone. The phone, which was a prototype of the Motorola Dynatac, is nothing like the smartphone you own today. It weighed nearly 2.5 pounds, was over a foot long, only offered 30 minutes of talk time, and took about 10 hours to charge. While sitting on a beach in Miami in 1949, inspiration hit Norman Woodland for what would become one of the most effective retail inventions of all time, the UPC, otherwise known as the Barcode. After years of development, retail and tech industries helped the UPC succeed. On the night of June 25, 1974, a team from the National Cash Register installed new scanners and computers at the Marsh Supermarket in Troy, Ohio. When the store opened the next day, the first item with a UPC was scanned, a pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit Chewing Gum, which is now preserved at the Smithsonian Museum. One of the simplest but most ingenious inventions was actually invented by accident. A 3M scientist named Dr. Spencer Silver made an adhesive in 1968 that was different, but he couldn't find a use for it. 6 years later, another 3M researcher named Arthur Fry became frustrated with marking pages in his choir hymnal, so he used Silver's adhesive to make paper bookmarks. Together, they worked to invent the yellow Post-it note pads we know today. The Rubiks Cube, one of the most popular toys of all time, was invented in 1974 by Hungarian architecture professor Erno Rubik. Rubik used the cube to present information about spatial relationships to his students in a more interesting and compelling way. He saw his invention as a piece of art that symbolized stark contrasts of the human condition, simplicity and complexity, order and chaos. The Rubik's Cube eventually became a children's toy in 1979, and today, more than 350 million have been sold. The previous pull tab for aluminum drink cans was known to be hazardous, and especially bad for someone walking barefoot. Luckily, an engineer for Reynolds Metals named Daniel Kudzik came up with the Stay tab, which today are the push-through pop tops used on cans. Kudzik patented his idea in 1975, and by 1976, a majority of beverage companies adapted the new can design. The very first digital camera was invented by Kodak engineer Steven Sasson in December of 1975. This definitely wasn't the type of camera you would take to document a family vacation, because it weighed 8 pounds and took .01 megapixel black and white photographs that were recorded onto a cassette tape. One image took nearly 23 seconds to take and could only be seen when the camera was connected to a television set. The MRI, or magnetic resonance imaging machine, is sometimes considered one of the greatest medical breakthroughs of the 20th century. Dr. Raymond Damadian, who invented the machine, was a genius who earned music, math, medical, and biophysics degrees before he began manufacturing the MRI scanners in 1977. Earlier in the 70s, he came up with the idea while using nuclear magnetic resonance, and later published his findings in a science article. He completed the first MRI on a human body in 1977, which he performed on his assistant's chest. Before your smartphone, the Sony Walkman was the most popular personal music device on the market. Sony introduced the Walkman on July 1, 1979. It was a blue and silver 14-ounce cassette player that ran off 2 AA batteries. Initially released in Japan, Sony predicted only 5,000 would sell. Instead, its popularity skyrocketed, and within the first 2 months, Sony sold more than 50,000 Walkmans. If you enjoyed this video, check out the description for links that help support the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.